Yes, good evening to everybody, to the International Human Rights class students. And yesterday that I dealt up the 2.2, that is, if you happen to see the syllabus, you could know that 2.2 is the United Nations Human Rights Protection System, we dealt it, and 2.3 is the United Nations Human Rights Promotion System. Either you say production system, promotion system, and the taking care of the system, all leads the same, but it is the effectiveness of the United Nations. It is also comes into the picture when it is promote and protect. What how it will be effective will be there that we study in this class. But before it, when you say the production, you read what I posted on the screen. Yes, read what I posted on the screen. Unmute and read what I posted on the screen. Okay, it is again gone. But anyway, I will make it out. Yes, now you could see it. Maliba, unmute and speak. Unmute and speak. And read what I posted on the screen. Maliba, unmute. You did not mute it, USD. Unmute and speak and read what I posted on the screen. I think there is a problem with you, I think it seems. Okay, I will read it, it doesn't matter. So, here, yes, here the UN contribution on protection of the human rights are concerned. So if you happen to see this one, the UN has created a global structure for the protection of the human rights based largely on its charter. So without the charter, it cannot deal because there should be some statute should be there, international instrument should be there, and it will not do for the non-binding declarations. Only the binding declarations only it can be work over there, and the legal binding treaties only it will be done, and that to be agreed by the parties and the states and those who are the members of the charter and the treaty, and on various activities aimed at advancing democracy and human rights throughout the world. So the rule of law, democracy is there, and you will see that the human rights violation should not and abuse should not be there in the world. Number one, the UN, of course, Manburet, the UN system of human rights protection has three main components. What are the three main components? Can anyone can unmute and read the first component, which I highlighted here? Just a minute. It is going away. Okay, now I will put it again. Yes, now you read it. It is there now. Second of all,
it establishes international standard through its charter.
Yeah, just a minute, because when I highlighted it is going. Okay, read.
It establishes international standards through its charter, legally binding treaties, non-binding declarations, agreements, and documents.
Yes, it means it establishes some standards, international standards. Through what? Through the charter. Here, charter like a statute. Legally binding treaties. And what are the legally binding treaties for the members of the state? But it will not concentrate on the non-binding declarations. And it also makes it on the agreements and documents which are there in the charter. Number one. Number two, Malibua, read the number two. Malibwa, read the number two. I think there is a problem with the Malibwa, it seems. He could not, whether he knows mute and unmute, there is a problem. Anyways, Sakina, you read. Number two. Sakina Paul, you read it.
It mandates special rapporteurs and experts and groups such as working groups, committees, and treat bodies to work in various manners for the promotion and protection of human rights.
That means it mandates, means it makes it compulsory, and special rapporteurs are there, and experts are there, and groups such as working groups, committees are there, and treaty bodies. There would be experts, committee groups, and rapporteurs to note down the records and minutes of meeting and the international violations, and they also work in the various manner for promotion and protection of the human rights. So the two aspects you have to keep it there. Either UN body or the UN agency or a special council or OHCR, anyone, they will try to make the promotion and production of the human rights. Yes, number 3, Malibu, are you having any problem?
It offers
Yes, read, Sakina. Read.
it offers technical the voluntary fund, advisory services, and technical assistance in the field of human rights.
Yes, that means it offers, means UN agencies offers or charter give the powers to it technical assistance through the voluntary funds for the advisory services, technical assistance in the field of the human rights. So these are the three things the UN make it out under the binding declarations and the treaties and agreements and documents. Now let us see the effectiveness. As we see that here the 2.4 is concerned, the effectiveness of the United Nations human rights system. How the UN make it in the promotion, production, what is the effectiveness that we will see in this class. So is UN successful in protecting the human rights? Number 1, it gives a sense the UN Secretariat has strengthened the place of human rights protection more broadly in its work, including the mandating the protection of the civilians in peace operations, the growing use of the political officers to support the promotion of the human rights in country, and desk-to-desk links between the Secretariat and regionals. It gives the sense that definitely UN is successful in protecting the human rights through the charters and treaties. How? To the protection of the civilian in peace operations and the growing use of the political offices and to support the promotion of the human rights in country, in addition to the desk-to-desk links between the Secretariat and the regional offices are there. So now the next point is, how has the UN helped with the human rights? Can you read? Maliba, I don't know what is the problem with you. You cannot unmute and read. Are you present? I think he is not present or there is a problem with him, it seems. Okay, Sakina, you go ahead. This point. Go ahead with this point. Unmute and go ahead, read. Sakina,
Sorry. Image results. Yes.
read what I highlighted.
Image results. Sir.
Continue.
Image results for the effectiveness of the United Nations human rights system. Many United Nations peacekeeping operations and political and peace-building missions include the human rights related mandates aimed at contributing to the protection and promotion of human rights through both immediate and long-term action, empowering the population of assets and claim their human rights.
Not asset. Asset. Asset is different.
Okay.
Assets, liabilities are there. This is asset means emphasize and claim their human rights. Okay, let me give the explanation for this one. See, actually, this is not relevant. Okay. Many United Nations peacekeeping operations and political and peace buildings. I told you there are 3 are there. Peacemaking, what is the peace building? And peace, there are 4 pieces are there. Even myself also forgotten because if you don't repeat it, you will forget it. So there are 4 pieces.
Peacemaking.
Peacemaking, yes. And like that.
Peace.
Yes, you are right. So the peace building missions.
Peace enforcement.
Yes. Okay, let me continue it. So all these 4 pieces and include the human rights related mandates aimed at contributing to the protection and promotion of the human rights. So wherever all these pieces, the four pieces of the UN try to make the protection and the promotion of the human rights through both immediate and long-term actions, either short-term actions or the long-term actions, empowering the population to assert and claim their human rights. So they will emphasize the population to assert, means focus on it and emphasize on it and claim their human rights. So that way, the UN has helped it in the peacekeeping, all four peacekeeping, to see that human rights are promoted and protected in their regions or in the nation, in the international level or in the local level. So next, what has the UN done to protect the human rights? How it can be done? Since then, there have been many UN human rights conventions and declarations, protocols, treaties, agreements, either bilateral or unilateral or multilateral, any of things among the bodies, they will make it out, and shaping the system of the international law and standard that protects us all and promotes our rights. Whose rights? Public rights, public of a different states. So ending racial discrimination. What is meant by racial discrimination? Anyone? What is meant by racial discrimination? If you know it, you tell me. If you don't know it, you say pass on. Don't waste the time. Apartheid means blacks and whites, such as Negroes. So racial discriminations and discriminations against the women, even the women discrimination also, and banning the torture and the genocide, protecting the rights of the children. So these are the aspects where the human rights protections are needed over there. And what is the role of the United Nations in regard to the human rights? So if you see that in human rights, the UN plays a crucial role in defining, protecting and promoting the human rights, or promoting and protecting the human rights. It helps maintain the agreed global standards, identify the violations, pursue the remedy, and encourage the improvement. So UN plays a pivotal role in promotion and protection of the human right. Wherever there is a human rights violation are there, and where the discrimination is there, wherever be there, the abuse is there, at that instance, UN will come to the rescue of it. So why did the UN fail to protect the human rights? No, in my knowledge, UN did not fail it unless until agencies are strong enough to see it will be protected and promoted the human rights strongly, they can make it out. Whether through the countries shielding their allies or shifting the spotlights onto one to pariah states. Here, the all rebellions are there, and if they united together and try to abuse the human right violation, at that instance, in certain aspect, they try to make it out, such a rebellions will be curbed by sending the peacekeeping forces, and they will make the sanctions also. So whether abuses are ignored within the powerful nations or within those where there is no political capital to exploit the violations, if it is not in the knowledge of the UN peacekeeping or in the UN, at that instance, in the beginning they cannot make it out, but later on they will come to the rescue and see that the violations should be, the human right abuse will be stopped over there. Or where the UN lacks the ability to cross border into territory or politicization is. Generally, the UN will take the cognizance and take the note of it if anybody, the state bodies will make the representation. But sometimes, suo motu also, it will take into the effect and see that the violations, and they will even they send the peacekeeping forces to see that the human right violations should be curbed over there. But in certain respects, we can say that UN, I don't say the fail, but it may start it later. In the beginning, there would be the human rights that cannot be protected, but later on they will come into the picture and see that the protection should be given to the people and who are abused. So what is important to promote the human rights? The human rights are basic rights, as we told you, they are the inherent rights, it is inalienable. If a human being is there, then right exists over there. Like if a human being is there, a name is there. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. If the human rights are basic rights that belong to all of us simply because we are human. When you are human, naturally the human rights will definitely attract you. They embody the key values in our society, such as a fairness should be there, and dignity should be maintained, equality should be there, and respect would be there, and they are in the important means of protection for all of us, for us all, and especially those who may face abuse, neglect, and isolation, even violations. At that instance, the UN try to protect, and hence it will, the UN bodies will definitely promotion and protection of the human rights anywhere where the abuse or violations are going on. Is UN successful or failure? Read this one. Yes, whether the UN is a successful or failure.
While
Second,
the UN has successfully led a number of peacekeeping missions and promoting peace and security in integral to its mission, it failed to intervene in a timely manner and prevent genocide in Rwanda and Bosnia. Institutional shortcomings.
yeah, there is some problem, I believe, in your. Yes, I will read it. Stop. I will read. Institutional shortcomings contributed to the grave UN peacekeeping failure in the Rwanda and Bosnia. Yes, mute it because there is a problem of your internet. That's why you could not hear it. So, UN peacing mission to a certain extent, they may fail in the beginning, especially in the Rwanda where the genocide is there. In the Bosnia, there is a genocide is there. Even in the India also there is a genocide of the Muslims by the people, those who are the Hindus. But in the beginning, it will made it out. But somebody is make a representation, and hence UN has, though failed in certain respect, but sooner or later it will take an action such a genocide, and who will be the responsible. If any good Samaritan would be there, he can file a case in the International Court of Justice also. Not International Court of Justice, but International Criminal Court, when such a thing would be there, because in the International Criminal Justice is concerned, only the parties and who the members can raise it, sovereign nations can raise it if there is a violation, and by the any other nations it concerns. At the time that case will be entertained by the International Criminal Court, which is there. Where is the International Criminal Court?
Hague at Netherlands.
And where is the International Court of Justice? International Court of Justice or International Court of, it is also Hague in Netherlands. Are you following me?
Hello.
Yes. Okay, now you could hear you. But anyway, that when I call you, that at the time you can speak, Donati Malibu, but not now. Okay? I could hear you now. When has the UN has been successful? Okay, now read Donati Malibu, what I highlighted here. Now you read. Donati Malibu, you can mute and unmute and read. Just before you said hello, again now you are not speaking. Malibu.
Okay. Do you hear me now? Okay. The UN and the agencies have had success in coordinating global efforts against diseases such as HIV.
Yeah, there is a problem, I believe. Okay, now you can unmute. You mute. I will read it. So the
AIDS, Ebola,
you mute it. There is a
cholera,
problem. Do not even know that there is a
meningitis,
problem
and
with
has
you.
helped.
I say you mute Donati Malibua because there is a problem in your internet. I will read it. Okay. Now I will read it. What is the whether UN is successful or not? The UN and its agencies had successful in coordinating the global efforts against the diseases such as HIV, I don't say it's a slash, I don't say it's a oblique, I don't say it's a stroke, but the Professor Hussain students will say this sign and symbol. What do they say? Anyone can unmute and give me the answer. If you know it, you tell me. If you don't know it, you say,
Slash.
I will give you the answer.
It is slash, sir.
Professor Hussain students will not say slash. Professor Hussain students will not say
Oh,
oblique.
virgule.
Virgule. Virgule. It's a virgule. Virgule. Okay. HIV, virgule, AIDS, Ebola, cholera, influenza, yellow fever, meningitis, and COVID-19, the latest. And has helped to eradicate the smallpox and polio. Now we cannot see the smallpox and polio because there are the vaccines developed by the WHO. You cannot see anywhere in the world. So smallpox and polio from the most of the world, it is eradicated and no more smallpox and polio now. Even now also the small people, I mean infants, the polio drops are given. And of course, smallpox, it is nowhere would be there. But still, all the diseases for the, especially for the infants, it will be given. It includes the many diseases which is included over here. Then 10 UN agencies are there, and UN personnel have received the Nobel Prizes for the peace. Of course, when the organization receives and does the work, the UN give its Nobel Prizes also. So let us see what does the United Nations do for the human rights, justice, and international law. So among the greatest achievements of the United Nations is the development of the body of the international law, and which is central on promoting economic and social development as well as to advancing the international peace and security. The international law is enshrined in conventions, in treaties, and standards, and it also protocols, declarations also would be there, where the international agencies and international law will be tied over there by these treaties. So is the UN effective in keeping peace? Answer is yes. UN nations peacekeeping helps the countries torn by the conflicts created a condition for lasting peace. And as I told you that when there is a war between the Ethiopia and Eritrea, the UN has sent the peacekeeping forces and they stopped the war, and later on they became an independent country. And at the time there is no diplomatic relations would be there, even the flights are not going. But now what I heard it from one of the citizen of the Ethiopian who is working in the south, and he said diplomatic relations are now resumed, even the flights are going, and people will migrate from one country to another country. So now peacekeeping has proven to be one of the most effective tools available to the UN to assist the host countries navigate the difficult path from the conflict to peace. So if any country will be made forcefully by the another forceful country, at the time the UN goes to the host country, means not abused exactly, but the force used in that country, it will be helpful to them to stop the forceful country to do such a violations, and especially the violation comes only for the sake of the land. Am I right? Why the one country will fight with another country? Either to grab some of the land or to make a power in that country to see that it will be subordinate country. But every country is a sovereign country. Am I right? Every country is a sovereign country. Am I right? Say yes or no. See, I want to ascertain whether you are present or not. That's my question. Give me the answer. Unmute and give me the answer. I think there is a problem of Matandao, I think. Okay, no matter. Huh? So what is the role of the UN nations? The main function of the United Nations is to preserve the international peace and the security. These are the two aspects of it. Chapter 6 of the chapter provides for the Pacific settlement of the, not Pacific, what is the Pacific settlement? Peaceful settlement of the disputes through the intervention of the Security Council by means of such as the negotiations and mediations, arbitration, and judicial decisions. So this is the best way of making the justice by the settlement through in the form of negotiations, mediations, arbitrations, and judicial decisions. So this is the good way of this settlement. Over the years, members of the states of the United Nations have created the various UN mechanism to influence the state in respect of human rights. The human rights United Nations makes various mechanisms, and they will make the bodies, and they will make the councils, and they will make the teams, and they will make the human rights agencies and human rights centers at the national, regional, and the local level, and to see that human rights are promoted and protected anywhere in the world of the state members. The study assesses their effectiveness and concludes that the international human rights standards, institutions, procedures constitute still evolving the multilateral human rights regime that in some cases had a positive impact. So these members of the United Nations are the agencies, are the bodies, are councils, are special teams, and the human rights centers. These are try to make it out. The only aspect of it is to promote and protect the human rights. The UN effectiveness is rooted in fact that states are members of the community, yes, the UN community, within which they pursue the goals and whose achievement depends significantly on avoiding the political isolations. So there would not be political conflicts and isolations, and there will be a peaceful way of leading the life. It should be done. Then only the country's growth would be there, and prosperity would be there. And this needs has permitted a gradual development of the community mechanism that can bring the steady and year-round pressure on the state to reduce the abuses. So each country will try to see that it will not try to use its power on the another country, because every country is a sovereign country. If any such thing will happen over there, the UN come to the rescue and see that the peacekeeping forces will be employed and the convoy will be sent over there and see that the conflict, the abuse will be stopped, the conflict will be stopped if there is a war, and they try to stop the war. After examining the conceptual and legal foundation of its emerging regime, the study compares the structural and operational advantage of the treaty-based and charter-based UN institution. So whenever anything happen over there among the member state, either through the treaty or by the charter or by the declaration or by the protocol or by the bilateral or multilateral agreement, the member state will try to see that they would be more effective if they are under the UN supervision. The four charters, especially based mechanism, are then analyzed. Two thematic agents, the theme is there. The working group on the enforced disappearance and social rapporteur, that is the number one, is the working group on the enforced disappearances. That is one. And the special rapporteurs on the elimination of the religious discrimination. These are the two agencies. Other two agencies, country-specific agents. They are the special rapporteurs on child on Iran and Iran. Of course, the special agencies also will be there to see the rapporteurs will be sent over there if there is any racial discrimination is there, or if there is any violations and abuse, human rights violations or abuse are there, and this agency will work on it. That is a special rapporteurs. They work on it. When such a disturbance happened in the child or Chile, I don't know how do you pronounce, but the spelling is Chile, and Iran, because in Iran also and Iraq, there would be a certain disturbance would be there at the time the UN is interfered. So that the study concludes that both the charter-based types have been significant secondary factor in contributing to the improvement of the human rights practice at least temporarily. So whenever there is a treaty is there, and charter gives the power to the UN and other agencies to see that the human rights promotion and protection should be there. Now, while domestic economic and political development, bilateral pressures or international economic factor normally weigh more heavily in the state policy deliberations. So whenever the even charters are there, or treaties are there, or declarations are there, at the time the domestic law also will be domesticated in the municipal law, and the international charters provisions are incorporated there. Then only we can say that the any country, not only the signatory, but they are ratified the charter or the treaty or declaration or the protocol, and they will try to domesticate it in the municipal laws, in means in the country laws. So UN human rights mechanism have become a part of the external political environment within which the states make a choices. So here, either political or racial discrimination and how it will be made, the effectiveness of any human rights mechanism depends importantly how much the government desires to maintain and restore the international image of a civilized and human behavior to avoid the political isolation. So, if you want to see the effectiveness of the human rights by the UN body, then we can say that how much they will make the government desire or the government interfere and the government to try to maintain and restore, and the government involved in the international image of a civilized and human behavior, and they will see the political isolation, even a political pressure, or racial discrimination, or any other abuse would be there. So it is a government pressure would be there to see that how it can be made. So that shows the effectiveness of the UN as the member states also. So, in a deteriorating human rights situation, when the situation comes to very depleted conditions or low conditions, the government is more likely to cooperate with the thematic than the government specific mechanism. At that instance, the government should have to see that effective care would be taken if there is any deterioration of the human rights are there. The reverse is true, is an improving the situation since the country's specific procedure can be generate more positive publicity. So a positive attitude will be developed among the members of the state or the subjects of the state to see that each will be given the respect to other and each one rights will not be violated or breach, especially violated because breach comes only in the civil cases. So also in the enhancing the effectiveness, how the effectiveness will be there are simultaneously pressured by the two UN mechanisms. One is international community willingness to sustain its efforts, and the next is prudent balance between the public criticism and price. So these are the two aspects of it. We can see the effectiveness of the government and the personality and energy of the individuals in the human rights agents. So what I want to say is there, the government should have to enter and see that human rights protection will be made, and the effectiveness will come only at that instance when government interference would be there, and that interference make the stop the violations of the human rights. And there are other mechanisms also there, like the Committee on the Elimination of the Racial Discrimination was first treaty body established in 1969. The system has grown into the 6 treaty bodies also emerged as 2004. 7 treaty bodies will begin operations. But anyway, what I want to say is, we can say that there are many acts, bodies are promulgated in a different areas when such a situation arises to see that evil will be gone. If there is a discrimination will be there, then the racial discrimination or any other aspect of it, then that treaty would be made at the time to see that such a evil will be curbed over there. And here, one of the migrants workers, let us see that all migrant workers and members of their family, protection of the right should be given by the states where the migrants will be present over there. So here, as the system has grown, and there are many challenges the UN faces, this includes delay in the submission and consideration of the report. Sometimes the team will not give the in time the reports to the UN, and sometimes there is a non-reporting, and duplication of the reporting requirement, and sometimes the same thing will be repeated among the states and the treaty bodies. Then again, improving the effectiveness of the human rights treaty system has been an outgoing interest of the individual treaty bodies. So the treaty body's effectiveness would be, at that instance, will come into the picture when the state will take on more effectiveness in the promulgating are the provisions of the treaty on the member state. The meeting of the chairperson of the human rights treaty bodies, the Commission of the Human Rights, and General Assembly, these issues have also been subject of the intercommittee meeting. So not only this UN and its special agencies and bodies, and even the commissions of the human rights in the national, international level, and the national level, and the regional level, and the local level, with the support of the General Assembly. So that is the effectiveness one we can see it. So next we will come to the point. Of course, these are the not that much. Let us see the High Commissioner for the Human Rights. So the High Commission for the Human Rights has been requested to undertake the consultation on a new streamlined reporting procedure. In each country, there is a Human Rights Commission is there, and its chairman or commissioner or assistant, what is say, human rights commissioners will be there and submit their report to the Security Council, and time to time they have to do it. The view of these treaty bodies and state bodies, including the non-governmental organization, I told you, NGO. NGO also plays an important role because they also get some funds from the various other agencies, and other partners within the United system are being sought. So these are the aspects of it which I want to cover it in this class, but still there are 10 minutes are left over there. Then we will see one of the article which is written by, I don't know whether you can you able to see it or not, or can I magnify it? Is it visible now? Is it visible now?
Yes.
Can you tell me what is the title of the article?
The
Yes.
effectiveness of the United Nations human rights protection machinery.
Yes. How effectiveness would be there in the United Nations, and especially in the human rights protection, and what is the machinery would be there which will try to protect the human rights. And this article is written by Felice D. Gare, and we are indebted to him because he has pointed out very nicely in his article the how effectiveness would be there by the UN, and sometimes he has also made where it is ineffective also. So this we will make an introduction in this part, but as I told you, yes, the connection between the last class and this class, the last class is an entirely different topic, and this class is the entirely different topic, because this class is deals about the how effectiveness would be there the UN for the in protection, in promotion and production of the human rights. So the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. So in every country there is a High Commissioner is there, and like Tanzania also there is a Human Rights Commission is there, and that also takes the reports, and they try to even file a case in the competent court to see that the victim will be protected and rescued, even a compensation could be given to him. The UN High Commissioners for the Human Rights stands at the pinnacle of the United Nations human rights machinery. Do you know what is pinnacle? Any idea? Why we can make it out very clearly. What is pinnacle? Now, anyone can read that is what is meant by pinnacle? I don't know how do you pronounce it. Let me see. Oh, pinnacle. Yes, what is the meaning of pinnacle? Read. I think it is visible because I could see that It is visible to you. Anyone can unmute and read.
The most successful point.
Yes, the most successful point is pinnacle. The culmination is also pinnacle. He had reached the pinnacle of his career. Means he is reached to the top of his career. So that is the meaning of the pinnacle. So here the stands at the pinnacle of the United Nations Human Rights Machinery means at the nearness and highness and the more zenith point and high point of the United Nations Human Rights Machinery, who the UN Commission for the Human Rights stands. And it is now 20 years since the establishing of this long hope for the post. Which post? Human Rights Commissioner's post. And our recent publication that the United Nations High Commissioner for the Human Rights Conscience for the World. This is also one of the publications they made it. And if you get the chance, you also can read it to have some more point for the effectiveness of the United Nations in protection of the human rights. So what is this? They did examine the achievements of the 6 persons who have held the office to date. So the question of this seized as were simply who makes the successful High Commissioner and who makes the successful High Commissioner. Means who is make a successful commissioner and who makes a successful High Commissioners. So now it is a human rights commissioners were appointed over there in each national, international level, national level, regional level, and the local level. And every time they will try to make the report and they will try to file a case also if there is abuse or violations in a particular place. So now let us see that this raises the matter of what success is, what effectiveness is within the UN human rights machinery. So the Human Rights Commissioner, that the UN High Commissioner for the Human Rights, it is also one of the machinery to enforce the human rights. Am I right? Am I right? Answer is yes. Like UN is also one of the machinery to see the production and promotion and production of the human rights. And other agencies, yes, special agencies, they also try to the machinery in production, promotion and production of the human rights. So to identify the goals against which the measures of effectiveness we have to take all these agencies. So we examine the history of this post. Before General Assembly Resolution 48 by 149, it says, which mandates the position of the High Commissioners in 1993 and advocates call for the leaders and who could look into the individual compliance and country situations or report publicly on violation of the human rights. So who will deal these things and who will report it if there is any violation in the country? Anyone? Yes. It is a human rights commissioner will make it out. Either in the international level, they will report it. For the regional level, also there, the commissioner and the local level and the national level also. They will report the things. So they mandates the position of the High Commissioners, means UN High Commissioners in 1993, advocates call for the leaders who could look into the individual complaints. If anybody complains individually for the human right violation and country situation also, they will make it out or report publicly. Of course, media also make it publicly and individuals also make publicly and even the NGOs make it such a report to the Human Rights Commissions on the violation of the human rights. So they hoped for the independent official who could exercise good offices, conduct the investigation, provide the technical advice to the countries, make the appeals and report publicly. Who? The independent officials of the human rights. So the human rights independent officials, what they do? Who would exercise the good offices. They try to use their offices in good manner. That's why exercise the good offices, conduct the investigation, who human rights commissioners will conduct the investigation and provide the technical advice to the countries who human rights commissioners in the district in the different levels and make appeals. Even the human rights commission, if they fail in a court which is competent to deal the human rights violation, they will make the appeal to the suppose the from the local to the national, national to the regional, regional to the international, and report publicly. And whatever the report would be there, it will be put it in the public domain. Are you following me?
Yes.
Who will do all this activity? Reporting, appealing, come to the rescue of it, filing it. Who will do? And what is the agency? What is the machinery? All these things which I just now read. Human Rights Commissioner. Where? In the UN Human Rights Commission, in the National Human Rights Commission, in the Regional Human Rights Commission, in the Local Human Rights Commission. These people should have to take it because it is a machinery and see that human right will be effectively promoted and protected, both the things. So now we'll stop it here because from tomorrow we'll see the 1993. So this article I will send you in your email. You also read it. Which is specific, you can take it. Which is not necessary, you can eliminate it. But we can go by word, at least we know which are essential and which are not essential. We can easily make it out. And we can Mungu